All right, so we're sitting here in the auditorium. We're looking at the Spamalot set, and we're going to talk about the Western movies we watch in history of film. I'm Drew,
I'm Thomas Berquist.
I'm Tyler Archibald.
and so since we watched Stagecoach first, I guess we can talk about that one first. I'll start. A little connection I made between two movies, I guess, True Grit and Stagecoach, was I can compare The Doctor to LaBeouf because for most of the movie, neither one of them is like a character that the audience loves. Like the Doctor is kind of just a drunk that slows the journey down, and LaBeouf doesn't really show any care for the Maddie. And but by the end of the films, both the characters really help the heroes complete their journey, and so the audience really likes those characters. So that's something that I noticed. Like both of them weren't likable for the majority of the film, but by the end they changed for the good side, I guess. So that's something I noticed.
So I'm going to talk about the sex in Stagecoach, how there's kind of a contradiction between the two major females in the movie. Mrs. Mallory is kind of portrayed in like a negative light because she was somewhat delusional and emotionally weak.
Yeah.
And when she saw the death of her husband, she just laid her head against the side of the stagecoach and right during the middle of the gunfire, and doesn't even protect her own child.
She's kind of robotic a little.
Yeah, get what you're saying. Dallas, is, on the other hand, is kind of like kind of nurses Mallory at her bedside, and Dallas is actually the one who grabs Mrs. Mallory's baby and protects the baby from the gunfire with her own body. So I think there's kind of a contradiction between the damsels in distress, but definitely there was sexism in the show where they're kind of almost an obstacle at some point.
Yeah,
So.
I think at that point, like you mentioned, when Dallas protects Mrs. Mallory, the audience changes their opinion of Dallas. Like she started as just like a prostitute that was there, but when the audience changes their opinion of her and begins to like her, that makes the subplot, which is the love between Dallas and Ringo, it makes it a little bit more believable, and the audience kind of roots for it more.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that the filmmaker makes us, or John Ford, makes us like Dallas by doing things like that, when we see her protect the kid, it makes us like her more, and we want her romance with the kid to succeed. So that draws us in a little bit there.
All right, I'm going to talk about the sex and gender of Unforgiven. Clint Eastwood being one of the main characters. He is at first defied as kind of a Western masculine persona. Eastwood repeatedly falls into the mud. He also has a few other problems getting on his horse, and also struggles shooting a pistol, which kind of makes it, you question the brutality, but then he uses brutality to defend a woman's honor. He is progressive in his view of women, which is kind of important to see. However, these kind of ideas or themes do not persevere the conclusion of the film. By the end, women are kind of, I would say, objectified, if that would be the right word, and they're kind of seen as like I said, objects or tokens.
I think they progress from being more objects or tokens to like people with actually feelings. So
Yeah. The only women we really see in the movie are prostitutes, but by the end they show a lot of emotion. So
yeah, you can see kind of they have feelings when
Yeah.
money refuses the
right,
free sex from
right.
the
They're
girl
not
to
just
cut up
they're
face,
not just
so
objects. Yeah.
Okay.
kind of progresses as the movie goes.
Yeah.
It's
and
surprising for Clint Eastwood to put women with emotions in movies because he's sexist.
They kind of, also in this film, they kind of solely focus on sentimental value and appealing the audience. And I'd say it kind of satisfies the audience with the conservative masculine hero, and then kind of goes on a killing rampage.
I'm going to talk about the violence in Stagecoach and kind of the shooting and the scenes and how it wasn't really bloody like in comparison to Money and all of his shooting and blood, but what they kind of did with the shots is they kind of showed somebody shooting the pistol in one scene, and then they would cut to a different picture of somebody falling off their horse. So you never actually see like the shot and then somebody fall off, because I think it was a little hard with the technology at the time
This is kind of
to show that. But in all the movies, there's definitely violence.
Yeah.
Some
definitely
towards
played a role.
cowboys, and Stagecoach was towards the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Just savage people. You never really saw much about the Native Americans. Now they're generically just
Yeah.
one-dimensional. You never really.
Have the chance to learn.
Yeah,
about
that's
them,
that's
these
a
characters.
theme. That's a theme you see in westerns, and I think, especially since Stagecoach was made in the '40s, I think back then, I think now we have a more
Respect and
more
owe it back
realistic
to
view
them.
of what happened. But back then, I think they just viewed them as savages, like you said. So
They kind of
yeah.
hinted at that in Unforgiven, as well as True Grit. They're saying you want to get skinned out here and there in
Yeah.
the desert. And,
Yeah.
Some things you couldn't do now. It's just not.
Yeah, I guess for the role that gender played in True Grit, I think it's really interesting that they chose a 14-year-old girl to play the main character. It's something that is worthy of discussion. She was, I know Oscar in class said she was kind of a static character, and I kind of agree with him. She didn't really change. She was always just a headstrong character that was determined to get what she wants, wasn't going to stop for it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. She just started as a really strong character, so there wasn't really much room for change. But she made the other characters change, and that's the interesting part, is how Rooster, who's this like cold-blooded
Killer
guy, with true grit, the meanest marshal in the whole county or whatever, he changes and shows a lot of love and affection for Maddie, which is cool that she's able to change him. So
And in the end of the film, when they're saying how he was playing in like a circus or something, like he just kind of stopped his killing. So
Yeah.
you can tell that she definitely changed him a
Yeah.
lot.
And that's good. That's something I noticed, though. He did change throughout the movie, but I feel like throughout that movie, they almost make violence look kind of cool or attractive.
yeah,
It just seemed like with the way they kind of showed it, I guess they made it make him look popular, or that he was very powerful.
Had
at
some
the time.
swagger.
But yeah, he was definitely attracted, and then him changing throughout the movie, it kind of showed that he had a different side, but he still may have not been violent at the end, but he still had his power that he had.
yeah. And going back to the gender role, do you think Rooster would have changed as much if it was a 14-year-old boy instead of a 14-year-old girl?
I think he would have been more aggressive, actually. And
Yeah.
just kind of wanted to show him the ropes of killing.
Yeah.
And since it was a girl, he didn't really know how to handle the
Yeah,
situation.
I think if it was a guy, we would have seen less of a transformation
Definitely, yeah.
from just a violent killer to a loving person. So,
And then helped him in the end. That was actually
Yeah.
for the better.
yeah,
Let's talk about the shots of True Grit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of close-ups in there. It was kind of differing from Stagecoach. You saw them shoot, and you saw the holes blow open in their chest. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like they were trying to hide any violence or anything. They had a lot of wide shots, so you could see like all the vast deserts and everything. So
one shot that I thought was cool was when Maddie fell into the cave, whatever, with all the snakes, and it showed like from her point of view up, and you could just see that like there was no way,
intimidating.
there was no way she was getting out of that her own. So
Possible.
you, as the audience, you found yourself like come on Rooster, or come on LaBeouf, and just because by that time you really feel a connection with all three characters. So I think that camera angle just
It was very
helps.
successful. Yeah, it really
was
made
cool.
you care about the characters.
one
even more.
obstacle after another.
Yeah. And then in Stagecoach, one thing that's kind of the trademark of the film, I know, is like the low shots, like especially when, we talked about in class, like when the stagecoach goes over the camera and like the horses run over the camera.
Yeah.
That's just really unique, and it's something cool that I noticed from that movie.
Especially with that technology they had, that was still pretty
Yeah.
creative.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Do that.
There was another shot that built suspense in True Grit when you saw what's the crap, the eye patch guy,
Rooster.
Rooster. Yeah, you saw him with a gun to his head, and then you saw LaBeouf pointing the rifle down the range, and you saw him shoot, but you didn't see anything for a couple
Yeah, that was
seconds.
really
So you're
cool.
kind of scared, like, oh, did he die? Did Rooster die? And he just kind of slumped off his horse. They really showed some cool shots there with suspense and.
Yeah, you're kind of just like, come on, man, fall off the horse, be dead. Yeah, and then also a shot in Unforgiven was when like right before Money killed the sheriff, Little Bill, like when he was talking to him, they went like back and forth and they got closer in on their faces, and it just built suspense. You could see Money was just kind of crazed, and he went back to his old ways, and that was a nice shot, I thought, to show the audience what happened there.
And you really wanted to see their hands and see if they were going to reach their gun or not. And
Yeah.
when it kept getting closer and closer, you didn't know what was going on, like beneath their face. So it was kind of cool to build suspense in that.
So in general, you guys like the Western genre?
I liked it, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. They were fun to watch. I thought.
Going into it, I didn't really have a lot of experience in this genre, so I didn't really have an opinion. But I would definitely say after watching 3 movies, I would be interested in looking at maybe the new True Grit just to see what it's like.
Yeah. Well, this was the new True Grit.
You mean the old one?
Or
The old one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
The
just
old one
wasn't
with
sure
John
which.
Wayne.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was even. Okay.
Yeah, I like these movies. They're
It was
cool.
a good thing we had subtitles because I could not understand what you were
Yeah,
saying
I
at the
know.
time.
Something about the audio in the black box, man. You can't understand anything. All right. That's it.